Okay, so today I am doing my May monthly wrap, the monthly wrap for my birthday month being May. We have so much to talk about and not a lot of time to do it in. I was going to split this into two different parts, but I've decided not to do that and just do it in one video. So we've got a lot to talk about. Let's jump right on in. We're going to start, as I always do, by putting the monthly wrap, the monthly stats, that is, up on the screen, and we're going to do that in 3, 2, 1, go. For the month of May, I read a total of 10 books comprising of 4 cozy mysteries, 2 fantasies, 2 classics, 1 horror, and 1 LGBTIQ+. To my age groups, I read 2 middle grades and 8 adult books. No YA, we'll discuss that as we move along. To my lengths, I read 1 tome, 2 half tomes, and 7 novellas. And let me tell you, the fact that there were 7 novellas really helped me to get through all the books that I did. For a total page count of 2,621 pages, which is a lot lower than it should have been, which again we're going to explain very shortly. To my star ratings, and I had 4 5 stars, 3 4 stars, and 3 3 stars. Good news, no 2 or 1 star, but otherwise pretty evenly spaced between the 5, the 4, and the 3 stars. Alright. I always start my monthly wraps off talking about any and all books that I DNF'd, and so when I was referring to the page count number, as well as how there were no YA books that I read this month, that comes back to my DNFing. I DNF'd 2 books that were part of 2 separate series that were on my SAS list, which means that I am no longer going to be reading these series anymore. Let's talk about the first book, shall we? And that is this book, Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is book number 1, I believe, in the Renegades trilogy. And look, I'll just give you my honest thoughts. Honestly, I think that Marissa Meyer is just not the author for me. I read Cinder a few years ago and didn't like it. Both Cinder and Renegades have the fantastic premise, failed in execution situation for me, in that I feel like this is going to be amazing from what I've read from the premise, but then when I read the book, it fails in execution on a personal level for me. Obviously, Marissa Meyer is a well-loved author with other readers, and I think that's wonderful. As readers, we're not a monolith, but for me, I just don't think she's the author for me. I got through Cinder, I did not get through Renegades, and yeah, it was my only sci-fi series as well for this year, and I've not read a sci-fi, I've not completed a sci-fi book in quite some time. I think it's been a year and a half, so that was unfortunate. If you have any good sci-fi recommendations for me that are not Brandon Sanderson, because I've already read Brandon Sanderson's sci-fis, but any other sci-fi recommendations for me, especially that deal with info technology, such as, traveling to the past or traveling to the future, alternate world travel, stuff like that in sci-fi, please do let me know. Any sci-fi thrillers as well, let me know of that as well, because I'd like to get back into sci-fi. It's just this one did not work out for me. Let's jump right on into the second book that I DNF'd. So obviously the Renegades trilogy is now no longer going to be read by me, and it's unfortunate that I DNF'd book 1 as I had the first 3 books ready to go. I bought them in a pack, and the same thing can be said, or well, similar, can be said of this next series, because I bought the 4 books in a pack, and I DNF'd after book 3. It may not surprise you, given my thoughts and even what I was saying in my May TBR about this book. I didn't know if I was going to DNF it or not. I did not like the way book 2 ended, but I am talking about DNFing this book, King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard, which is the 3rd book in the Red Queen trilogy, I believe it's called. I hope I'm right. Anyway, so yeah, I really enjoyed book number 1 a lot in this series. Book number 2 for the first 3 quarters was great, but the way it ended had me really concerned. Book number 3 showed me that the concern that I had for the wrap-up of book number 2 was not valid. But in saying that, it just really still wasn't working for me. I made it about a quarter of the way through, and even though it was much better than book 2 by a mile, it still wasn't enticing enough for me to want to keep reading. So I have DNF'd book 3 in the Red Queen quartet, and therefore that series is now DNF'd on my SAS list as well. So we say goodbye to the Renegades trilogy by Marissa Meyer and the Red Queen quartet by Victoria Aveyard. DNFing book 1 in the Renegades trilogy, so there you go, and having read the first 2 books, DNFing the third in the Red Queen quartet. Now that we've caught up on the books I've DNF'd, let's talk about all the books that I did read, that I got through in the month of May 2024. Alrighty, here we go. The books that I did actually complete in the month of May. The first book that I read in May of 2024 was this book, which is The Big A.S. Party by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. This is Zodiac Academy book 5.5, making it a novella book. As I say, in the Zodiac Academy series, it is an adult fantasy, and I gave this book 5 stars. However, I had a personal gripe with the book, which we'll get to in just a moment. Let's talk about the premise first of all. This is a 25k novella set in the world of Solaria during book number 5 of the Zodiac Academy series, Cursed Fates, featuring Geraldine and Max as they attend the party of the century and try to resist the lure of the moon as it pushes them together once more. It's full of slippery salmons and more buttery bagels than you can shake a stick at, and it's best read after Cursed Fates. Well, there's your premise. I feel like I could say a whole lot more than that, but since it is a novella, I feel like I might be spoiling if I say more than that, so I won't. Let's get into my thoughts, and firstly, as I say, a quick minor complaint. I listened to the audiobook of The Big A.S. Party on Audible, and I have a complaint about one of the narrators with this particular book, and that is of Bridget Bordeaux. Listening to the overacting of Bridget Bordeaux was really hard on my ears, and I'm going to explain why. I absolutely love this series, and I have listened to every single book on audiobook with Jake and Bridget Bordeaux being the narrators. In this book, we follow 2 perspectives. It's dual perspective. One of the perspectives, the female, is Geraldine, and Geraldine is a very over-the-top, bless-your-heart type character, and really, what's her name? Bridget Bordeaux does her character really well, but her accent and performance really of Geraldine really annoys me. Fortunately, throughout the main series, Geraldine doesn't come up that much, so, you know, whenever she does, I just tend to let it go. But in this novella, half of this novella was dedicated to Geraldine, as we got Geraldine's perspective in half of the book. And it just really, really, really annoyed me, so I just had to make that gripe. If you can physically read the book, or if you can read the book on in ebook format, I would recommend doing that over the audiobook if you don't like the way that Geraldine is portrayed on the Audible audiobook version. But in saying that, it's interesting that my least favorite character, and also she's my least favorite character, but also my least favorite performance of any character, was one of the perspectives. The other one was my most favorite character in the entire series, which is Max. So yeah, really, really enjoyed getting Max's perspectives. Max is a siren, so everyone at Zodiac Academy has their own being that they are, so they have their human form and their fae being form, and Max is a siren, and I loved Max from day one, so it was lovely to see a novella half dedicated to Max. I really appreciate that. Did not so much appreciate the Geraldine stuff because of the overacting, but also, yeah, didn't really appreciate her plot much either. But in saying that, I'm not going to take the narration of Bridget Bordeaux out on my rating here. I think that Bridget Bordeaux, and please don't get me wrong, Bridget Bordeaux is an amazing narrator. It's just that she grinds my gears when she does Geraldine. Bridget Bordeaux voices every female character in this world, and I love every other one that she voices. It's just Geraldine, and the fact that Geraldine had to have half of this book It was just too much Geraldine at once, if that makes sense. If you've read the series or listened to the series, you know what I mean. It was too much, way too much Geraldine, way too much Bless Your Heart. Bless Your Heart with the Energizer Bunny on a battery that's like at 100% go, 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 go throughout the whole book. It was just too much for me. But anyway, I'm not taking the narrated portrayal of Geraldine out on my rating, and I am still giving the book 5 stars. The next book that I read, therefore, was the next main book in the series, which was Fated Throne. This is book number 6 in the Zodiac Academy series, and once again is an adult fantasy. So the premise of this one is that Lionel Acrax has the strength to make a move for the throne. We're not sure how much time we have left to stop him. Our only hope is to find the Imperial Star before he does. We made the sacrifice the stars called for, and we are paying the price for that decision, so it can't be for nothing. But with the stars turning against us at every move, and the last light in the world seeming to fade, I'm afraid we've almost run out of time. Hope is a dangerous thing, and it's the key to us fighting on. So to my thoughts, I have fallen rather deeply for this series, and I'm so happy to be binging it this year. This book, Fated Thrones, was amazing as all the others. I still love Max, as I said the last one, I love Max, and wish to see more between Max and Seth, because there seems to be some things happening between Max and Seth that we got minimal moments of throughout this book. I would like to see more of that as we continue on. Darius has grown so much over the series. I've loved him from page 1, but I love him even more now. Darcy and Tori have grown so much owing to what has happened to them since they got to Zodiac Academy, and the good news is I think Geraldine only got 1 or 2 chapters in this book. I had to make the point. Come on, you all know how I feel about Geraldine. I had to make that point. She only got 1 or 2 chapters. That's a win in like a 600 and something odd page book. No, but seriously, a fantastic book with an ending that has me hungering for the next one, and I gave this book 5 stars. And the good news is that I am reading the next one. Heartless Sky is the next book I pick up, so I'm very excited to get back to this world. The next book that I read was this book, How to Defy a Vampire, which is book number 5 in the vampire-related crimes series. This is book 5 out of 5 in that series, which means I have now caught completely up to date with this series. I have completed the series. I don't believe there's any more books coming out in this series. And so there you go. I've managed to cross the VRC Vampire Related Crime series off of my SAS list. This is marketed as an LGBTIQ plus fantasy paranormal romance. Really, the categorization really confuses me on Goodreads, so I'm just going to tell you my thought. I categorize this as a male paranormal with some spicy scenes to the level of, say, like 2.5 out of 5. Okay, I liken it to a professional cozy mystery series in that we are dealing with 2 police detective agencies. One of them is the human agency, the other one is the vampire agency. In book 1, we have, what was his name again? Finn, sorry, we have Finn, who travels over to the vampire side, because even though he's human, he wants to be a part of the vampire detective crew, hence the name VRC, Vampire Related Crimes Unit, the vampires there. And yeah, he ends up having a partner, Marcus, and he and Marcus end up falling in love and things happen. But the majority of each of the books reads to me like a cozy mystery, even though we are dealing with, police and people from the Vampire Related Crimes Unit. It still reads like a cozy, so I recommend it if you're up for a male, what I'm calling cozy mystery series, but with a spice level of 2.5 out of 5, then I think you will love it. The premise of book number 5 is, Marcus says, when ghosts from my past step right into my path, I want to look the other way. I'd rather enjoy my life with Finn, figure out a way to make my brother less obnoxiously gaudy, and find out how to never go roller skating ever again. Finn is the bravest person I've ever met, but he's also a human, and we're working against some of the strongest vampires in existence. I'm left doing what I can to shield those dearest to me while trying to keep the past from consuming the present. I can't let the same mistakes happen again. And so to my thoughts, it was a great book as usual for this series. Saddened that I'm now up to date. The book ended openly though, so I don't know if Alice Winters plans to continue back with the series or not. But either way, it was a series that I truly enjoyed and I highly recommend. I love Finn and Marcus and everyone else on the vampire-related Crimes VRC crew, and I gave this book a total of 5 stars. So the next book that I read was this book, Portside Peril by Hope Callahan. This is book number 2 in the cruise ship mystery series, and it is an adult cozy mystery, and I gave this book 4 stars. So the premise of this book is Millie Sanders has settled into her new position as an assistant cruise director of the Siren of the Seas and is loving every minute of the adventure and excitement. A fresh wave of passengers have just boarded, and as the deck party gets into full swing, a frantic cry of "man overboard" is shouted over the loudspeakers. Millie rushes towards the crowd that has gathered on the portside upper deck and watches in horror as the ship's crew desperately tries to save a young man who has just gone over. On-board investigators believe it is a clear-cut case of vacation suicide, but Millie isn't convinced. Her suspicions are confirmed when she discovers the fiancé of the poor deceased man received a threatening note. And to my thoughts, I really enjoyed my time with Millie once again and the crew, and loved meeting the cute dog that Millie looked after. I'm really getting into this series and cannot wait to read the next one. I deducted a star for the incredibly quick wrap-up though. I feel like the reveal should have been much longer to make it more satisfying, but other than that, it's a fantastic series so far. Book 2, really a whole lot of fun. If you're looking for a cozy mystery, or you'd like to read a cozy mystery set on a cruise ship, look no further than this one. I'm having an absolute blast with the series, and I'm reading both books 3 and book 4 in June, so that's how much I'm loving this series. 4 stars from me. The next book that I read was this book, House Beneath the Bridge by Ian Rob Wright. This is an adult horror standalone book, and I gave this book a total of 3 stars. Disappointingly, given that it's the first Ian Rob Wright book that I picked up so far in 2024, owing to waiting to see what's happening with the Ravaged World trilogy. There have been some updates going on Audible to do with that. So I was really excited to finally read an Ian Rob Wright book, even though it was a standalone, and yeah, it ended up getting an average rating. So the premise of this book is it possible to infect a place with evil? Are some atrocities so awful that the land itself becomes contaminated? And what would happen if you found yourself trapped in such a place? What begins with a car crash on an ancient bridge ends with the ultimate sacrifice. Follow the survivors of a horrific accident as they try to understand their fates and find rescue. A rescue that should have already come. So to my thoughts, I listened to this on audiobook, and that needs to be mentioned as it affected my enjoyment of the book. The quality was horrible. You have to turn it up full blast just to hear standard narration, and then out of nowhere the narrator screams something, forcing you to turn the volume down again. So it was really stressful for me. I'm listening to this audiobook because, for those of you who recall my reading vlog, I was going through COVID, and so I was laying down listening to this book, and the narrator was so quiet I had to turn the narration up to full blast just to hear them, and then the narrator would scream from out of nowhere, and I'd be forced to turn the volume back down, but then of course they go back to their normal pace, so I have to turn it back up. It was really, this audiobook needs to be redone, as far as I'm concerned. But in saying that, let's talk about my thoughts. The book, from what I got out of it, was good. I appreciate Ian Rob Wright as an author. I just think the audio needs to be fixed right away because I struggled to make heads or tails of the majority of the book. I feel like I have some sort of an understanding of what the plot was about, but still, I don't feel like I fully took in the entire book. And so I'm giving it an average rating of 3 stars because it's really hard to give a higher or lower rating when you having trouble really understanding what's going on because of such a poor quality of narration. So I understand, and I'm someone who always sees the glasses half full. Anytime I receive anything at all, I'm extremely grateful for it. So don't get me wrong. I am very thankful that an audiobook exists of this book. I just think that given the expertise of Ian Rob Wright as an author and how amazing he is, that this audiobook narration, the version of this audiobook, did not do Ian Rob Wright's work justice. So 3 stars from me for this one. The next book that I read was this book, which is Insects, Ivy and Investigations by Tonya Kappas. This is book number 17 in the Camper and Criminals Cozy Mystery series. It's an adult cozy mystery book, and I gave this book 3 stars. I'm going to talk about the 3 Campers and Criminals books that I read in just a moment, but before I do, it has been brought to my attention that readers of this series finding themselves lacking in motivation to continue on with it because of certain things that are occurring within the series. I have to say that the main theme being brought to my attention that's concerning is that we have the stereotypical in cozies cop boyfriend who is trying to tell the protagonist not to investigate and keep them safe, and that seems to be the major reason why people are annoyed with the series. I don't necessarily agree with that reasoning. I like when the cop boyfriend steps in and, tries to stop the protagonist from doing this sleuth work because it shows how much they care for them. But in saying that, there have been more misses than I care to admit in this Campers and Criminals series. I am going to continue to keep reading them in the hopes that they do get better. But for me, some of them are just not maintaining the quality that they had at the beginning. So I am noticing that. And I think I'm roughly halfway through. There's meant to be 36 books out by the end of the year. So what would that be? 18. And this is book number 17. Yeah, and I read 17, 18, and 19. So I'm now over halfway. All right, let's talk about book number 17, Insects, Ivy and Investigations. The premise of this book, Alicia Becker shows up at the screen door of the milkery, beaten, bruised, and claims to be one of Mary Elizabeth Mobley's foster children. Mae West's suspicion of why Alicia is there turns to an investigation after Alicia is found on a nearby hiking trail standing over the lifeless body of Craig Sutton. Who is Craig Sutton? Craig Sutton is Alicia Becker's con ex-boyfriend. May and the Laundry Lab ladies cannot help but wonder if Craig's death was self-defense, though Alicia swears she did not kill him, or was Alicia set up. So to my thoughts, Alicia just really annoyed me in this book. I get the Kappas wants to put in different things here and there to keep the series interesting. I just don't think this was a good idea. Personally, the whole first half of the book annoyed me as it portrayed spousal abuse incorrectly. Being someone that has suffered from this in the past myself, it was upsetting that and it was incredibly aggravating to see domestic abuse being portrayed in a very incorrect way. And what I mean by this, and I'll just be very quick, I won't give away spoilers or anything, but Alicia is very specific in the way that her partner has been treating her physically, mentally, and psychologically. And I have gone through similar things in my life that Alicia went through. And the way that this was portrayed, her and dealing with going through this, I felt was portrayed incorrectly. People out there will disagree with me, and that's absolutely fine. I have my experience. I can only relate my experience to what I was reading. It annoyed me that it didn't seem to be portrayed correctly, given that I experienced something incredibly similar to what Alicia did in the book. But in saying that, taking it away from my personal life, because I'm much better now. The issue I'm referring to here happened with me over 15 years ago, so I'm much better now than I was. Let's move on to talk about the book itself. The second half was okay, and the reveal was okay, which led to an ultimately average rating of 3 stars. So it would have been less had I not enjoyed the second half and had I not thought that the reveal was okay. So therefore, the next book that I read was Outdoors, Oars and Oaths by Tonya Kappas. This is book number 18 in the Campers and Criminals series. Again, an adult cozy mystery. The premise of this one is May saying, I haven't seen Stanley Shelton since the flamingo keychain with the camper van key dangle from his fingertips as he ripped the Maserati keys out of my grip after my now ex-dead husband left me broke and penniless until now. Stanley claims the Diamond Swamp mob is after him and he needs my help. Something about my past. But I didn't take him too seriously until someone was murdered in Stanley's rented room at the Milkery. The person just so happened to have a tattoo I've seen before. One problem, the tattoo is a brand from a mob in New York City. So I gave this book 4 stars, which is an unpopular rating, but I actually thought this one was personally okay. So this book, for me, was much better than book 17. I actually enjoyed the setup and the connection to May's past. I found the plot intriguing also, and still love Dottie Swaggart to this day. There were a few minor complaints though. I don't like that the adopted sister is still here, Alicia. Is she going to be here for the rest of the series? Also, the reveals are still far too short. I wish Kappas would devote more time to unpacking the reveal at the end. Oh, and a cliffhanger from book 17 was resolved with a quick, I thought it was this, turns out it was this, moving on type plot convenience, which annoyed me. That said though, all in all, a fair improvement on book 17, and as I said, I gave this one 4 stars. So the next book that I read was this book, Wildlife, Warrants and Weapons, book number 19 in the Campers and Criminals series, again an adult cozy mystery, and I gave this book 3 stars. The premise of this one is when May sees Hank arrest Henry Bryant, she's surprised and quickly asks Agnes what is going on. Agnes advises that Henry is being arrested for illegal lodging. May knows he's innocent, and so she and the laundry ladies get together to solve the crime. So to my thoughts, I really didn't find this one interesting. While I like May as a character and Dottie too, the actual plot of this one just didn't intrigue me, and neither did the mystery. The reveal threw me off as I forgot who the killer actually was, which is weird for such a short book. Also, May and Hank have this chat at the end of the book that really upset me. The next one will hopefully be better, and again, I gave this one 3 stars. So it's been an up and down journey for me with Campers and Criminals, but I will continue on. I'll be reading the next 3, which will be books 20, 21 and 22 in June. The next book that I read was this book, 5 Go Off in a Caravan, which is book number 5 in the Famous 5 series by Enid Blyton. This is a middle grade classic series, and I gave this particular book 4 stars. I came into this book having read it before as a child. This is a reread. I've read the minority of the 21 books in the Famous 5 series, but had read this one before. As a child, this book kind of scared me, so I was interested to see how I would go as an adult. The premise of this book is the Famous 5 are thrilled to go on a caravanning holiday with no parents and only Julian in charge. They all head off to Marin Lake, where a circus is camping nearby. But 2 of the circus's performers start acting suspiciously. They've got something to hide. What could it be, and can the 5 solve the mystery without getting caught? So as I said, I read this book as a child and found it violent then. Interestingly enough, I still find it too violent for a middle grade book now. The Famous 5 and their new friend Nobby work very well together. I took a star off for the violence, which, just to give you a heads up, includes child abuse and animal abuse, so do be warned for that in a middle grade book. But outside of that, it was a good book, as always with this series. So I gave the book 4 stars because I was deducting for the child and the animal violence. I just don't know where this came from. It seemed very out of character for Enid Blyton to do this in this Famous 5 series so far, but 4 stars for that one. And the final book that I read in the month of May was this book, 5 on Kieran Island Again, which is book number 6 in the Famous 5 series by Enid Blyton, again a middle grade classic series. I had not read this book before, and the premise of this one is Uncle Quentin is working on Kieran Island, and it's all top secret. He doesn't want anyone to visit, not even the Famous 5. But the island is full of hiding places, and Uncle Quentin is not alone. Someone wants to steal his ideas and ruin his plans. George is determined to find her father and save her island, no matter what dangers await. She can't do it without the others. Can they help her in time? So to my thoughts, really enjoyed this one. No harm committed, no violence in this one, which was a great improvement. It was great to see Enid Blyton take us back to Kieran Island, but in a very different way. I still love all 5 of the Famous 5 very much, and I'm looking forward to the next book in the series, and I gave this one 5 stars. Okay, so those are all the books that I DNF'd and completed. In the month of May, let's play everyone's favourite game that we like to call Up. These are all the books I mentioned in my May monthly wrap for 2024. That is where I am going to leave it. How was your reading month in May? Let me know in the comment section below. But in the meantime, I'm going to let you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye everyone.